Sir.
Representative Delozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And actually, I'll continue on that line, talking about those with PTSD. The behavioral line in the budget was cut. So going along with what was just said and the need for dedicated funding from the generous donations that are in there, we do have a dedicated line of funding for PTSD, but yet it was cut. So if I have it correctly here, the elimination of the $750,000 appropriation to treat veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, which is one of the leading reasons for suicide, if I am correct. So my question would be, why did we cut that then?
Yes, ma'am. The $750,000 is not a program of record. It was a legislative ad. So don't get me wrong. We appreciate the support, and we're going to make sure that funding goes to great resource to get it to the people that need the help. Again, the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs is not the end-all agency for mental health, for substance abuse addiction. I mean, there's other state agencies that do work in those areas. So the question remains, do we set up our own mental health program just for veterans? Do we set up our own suicide veteran program just for veterans? Or do we piggyback on existing state programs and try to modify that program to additionally understand the unique considerations for veterans?
Okay.
And that's the approach that we've been taking now. If the 750, and again, we'd love to have it. It's still in budgetary reserve, so it hasn't been executed yet, but we're looking at some very good ways to use that money. If the legislature could support an enduring fund, we would certainly be happy to work with anyone or any other department to do a lasting program of record. But that 750 was an ad that
Okay.
that was
so
not,
the governor's elimination of it in and of itself, so making it just a one-time deal. And so if we want to put that back in, it's on the legislator's side to put that back, if I'm understanding
yes, ma'am.
correctly.
And if you want to stand up a program, like we don't have mental health expertise in our department. If the wants or the wishes are to get us a permanent program of record, okay, we'll discuss how we staff that. How do we tie that to existing programs that are already in existence in the state?
Okay.
We would look forward to going to those discussions if
So the $750,000 that was given then in the past should not have been necessarily given to Military and Veterans Affairs. It should have gone to other programs then that would have been better served for our veterans, or?
I can't tell you what would have happened to the money if it was given to the other agency. I think this puts an emphasis that it was to be used for veterans.
Right.
So how do you give, and I'm not a appropriation expert, how do you give money to another agency and say, well, this is for veterans?
Okay.
But they...
And I'm not arguing, it's more a matter of issue, I just want the veterans to get their services.
Yes, ma'am.
And the ability to stop suicide and PTSD is one of those leading issues.
And I would love to have that conversation as to how you resource things specifically for veterans, but maybe it's in a program that has the staff and the expertise to help us execute that.
Okay. And just real quick before my lights change here, coordination of services. We have here in Cumberland County a Camp Hill, which I know is federal and mostly federal funding and everything else, that's moving into Upper Island and Rossmoor, and we're getting high tech. So my question is the coordination between the state and the feds and making sure that our veterans we're lucky that this new center that's opening will have many high-tech, for rehab, as well as high counseling, as well, a lot of great services for our veterans. What is the coordination then with our state and basically referring folks to this new center? I don't know exactly what they're going to call it, but it's in the Rossmoor Corporate Center. So what is the coordination that will happen? Will it just be the same as usual from what was happening at Camp Hill? Will that, now that there's expanded opportunities in this new facility, will we be able to serve more veterans?
Ma'am, I think the way to go, there's essentially two ties to reach veterans. One is the county level. That's the primary level to go through the county office.
Okay.
And the other is through our department. So if that center was willing to do some sort of open house or something, we would love to be able to come
Okay.
to see that, bring the county affairs office as well,
And they are involved. The county is definitely involved.
to be able to see what those capabilities are.
Okay.
And then we can we can put that in, for instance, our registry. We have weekly mailers with all kinds of employment information and things like
Okay.
that. We have the Network of Care, that website, which is area specific. We can get information for that in there as well. So we would love to make that connection.
Okay, great. And I just add two things that have already been hit on, but I adamantly support the Civil Air Patrol and their ability to do their job. We have them in our local area. And the BRAC issue in our local area, we have a community a group that meets on a regular basis, because we don't want to be caught up short, because Cumberland County has a tremendous presence with our military between New Cumberland and Mechanicsburg and the War College and the Carlisle Barracks. So we would just ask that any coordination that could be had in support of that endeavor would be had. So thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.